Hi, I'm Tad the Diet Coach, and I've been away from my video blogging here for several weeks. I apologize. I'll be doing these again. I'm going to try to do a couple a week. So here I go again. As we're starting this new competitive season, I get lots of questions about contest prepping, but I thought I'd focus on fat burners. I've written articles before about fat burners and about what my favorites were. So I'm just going to go in and I'm always asked which fat burners are the best out there on the market. And there's really a ton of really great fat burners. Most of the ones that are on the market are focused towards caffeine related. They're all caffeine based, personally, I don't like to jack up on caffeine too much. I also don't recommend it for my clients. Certain amount of caffeine is good, but once you start going overboard, caffeine can be really hard on your system. So especially for the long term, for men, it's hard on your prostate over time, and for women, it's hard on, you can overstress your adrenal glands if you overdo caffeine and stimulants. So I usually typically recommend doing an ECA stack. Now, this is different than, say, a product that's called ECA stack. There's a couple out there that have that nomenclature to it, but what I'm talking about is what the original thermogenic studies were done back in the 1990, 89, 90, I think it was, when the first versions of fat burners first started to hit the market around 1991. They were all based on those studies, and I still sort of hold true to that model because the studies that came out from those thermogenic studies were really good ones, and they showed a marked decrease in body fat and an increase in fat burning, an increase in thermogenesis, and these are all highly important when you want to evaluate fat burners. How much does this heat my body up? I don't getting just a stimulant effect isn't an energizing effect isn't the only indicator of how well this is working for you. As a matter of fact, it can be a really poor indicator. So my formula is about 25 micrograms of ephedrine hydrochloride, 200 milligrams of caffeine, and one baby aspirin, or about 80 milligrams of aspirin. That's pretty much what the studies were done with. I don't alter dosage. I don't recommend moving the dosage up or down. Only if you absolutely positively need it. If you're really insensitive to stimulants and you just have to take a little bit more, that's fine. But you should notice a warming effect within about 30 to 40 minutes after you take your ECA stack. That's generally what I usually recommend. I don't recommend taking it more than 2 times a day, and I don't recommend taking it any more than about 5 hours before you go to bed. So you give yourself a 5-hour window so that way you can get some sleep because it can keep you up. Some people have a much more profound effect with ephedrine and caffeine. All three of these compounds, they tend to work together synergistically, and so when they're inside your body, they tend to have this heightened effect, while if you take them individually, they don't have the same effect individually as they do combined. So that's the best fat burner that I know. It still is one of the best versions. When I diet for contests, I use that myself. I don't use any other fat burners. I generally use that. Most of the other fat burners are just too high in caffeine, and so it makes me jittery. I don't feel very good. It drops me, blood sugar tanks, and these things aren't really great for contest dieting or for dieting in general, for feeling good and being healthy. I also am trying to always save my adrenal glands and not overstress my system with stimulants. While some is good, and when you're going to have to do some of that more intensely when you diet, you just don't need to do it. You don't need to overdo it. So that's my ECA stack, a true ECA stack, and the ECA stack stands for ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin. So for all you out there who've ever asked me about best fat burners, that's the one I recommend. There's no company out there right now that usually makes them. You can still get ephedrine legally here in the United States. You just have to register with it so they know who's buying it, and you have to. You can only buy so much at a time. But most of the companies, you can go online and usually find. You can Google buy ephedrine, and you'll find a ton of suppliers that will legitimately send you stuff like Gorilla Jack and some of those others. Those are they'll all work just fine. But you want to get the ephedrine hydrochloride, not the ephedra, which is really the raw herb. The ephedrine hydrochloride is the sort of extracted version. It's a more potentized version. So hope that helped. And again, this is Tad the Diet Coach, and I'm saying be positive, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.